Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Too Far Away Adventures. Terry here. And as you can probably see by the garb I have on today, that I am not in Florida anymore. I am back in Wisconsin and out for a bike ride today. And give you a little bit of view of where I'm at here. Over here in west of Omro, Wisconsin, on some little back county roads, just taking a little training ride today, preparing for the trip and talk a little bit more about it. And so let's get out here and take a little ride. Today I am testing out my handheld device for the camera. So this is probably going to be a little bit of a work in progress. Possibly a lot of this is going to get edited out. So we'll take off here, and I'm just kind of holding it in position. I was mostly going to use it in my right hand, but I know you haven't seen my face very much. In Florida, I had the camera mounted on the handlebars of my Salsa Marrakesh, and I'm on a little bit of a different bike today. I'll give you a little look here. This is my Carver Tie all-road pinion bike. This will be the bike I'm taking on the trip across the country this summer. Little look in the cockpit here. Let's get that up there as I flip around back to my gorgeous face this morning. So I've been back about a week and kind of getting settled back into things here. Had a few little jobs I had to get done, getting the storage unit downsized. I moved some stuff down to Florida. That's why I was down there. When I was in Florida, one of the things I was trying to do is I'm trying to figure out the clothing that I'm going to wear on the trip across the country. I want to take as little as possible, and I've pretty much got that dialed in. I was able to test out these trousers here and these merino wool shirts that I've got on. I might be able to see it in there, I don't know, under the jacket. And the temperatures were not that hot down there. It was in the, I think one day I got up to about 85 when I was out on Apopka, maybe 80, 85, no humidity, beautiful riding weather. And I guess the conclusion was kind of inconclusive. I was comfortable in these clothes, the long sleeve shirt, the long pants. I didn't feel too hot. Heat doesn't bother me much. So I think I've got the right stuff for the heat. And I've been testing this stuff out up here on colder days, and it's worked pretty good. The pants without a base layer get me down to about 30, and the shirt and this jacket will get me down even below that. So I think I'm in pretty good shape with just these trousers, a long sleeve shirt, and this jacket. Of course, I got a rain jacket, and I've got one with me today because it's supposed to rain. Here we are rolling into Winneconne, Wisconsin. I'm probably going to stop up here. There's a quick trip up here in town that's have coffee, and I could use a coffee right now. I drink more coffee in the morning than I do water. Probably not good for me, but kind of a coffee fiend. Just proving I'm actually riding the bike. You can't make that miles per hour thing do that without moving. Then I kind of figure out which is the best hand to shift how to hold this thing in, because I got to shift with my right hand. My left hand is. And yeah, the shifter on this bike is actually on the bar end here. I'll just twist this in and out. And so far, it's worked really, really well with this pinion gearbox. The only thing you got to remember with a pinion is you got to stop pedaling when you shift, or at least take the pressure off the pedals, which you should be doing with your derailleur anyway. Winneconne's a nice little town. My parents lived out here for, wow, about 30 years, I guess, before my mom went in a nursing home, and she passed away in 2020. My dad's still alive and He's now in a assisted living facility in Oshkosh. But they moved out here, I think about 1990. And we sold the house in 22. And my brother lives out here, my younger brother Bill, and his wife and their 3 kids. And it's a beautiful little town. Right on the Wolf River here, we're going to cross in a moment. There'll probably be people out here fishing off the bridge. I'm not a fisherman. I know they fish for walleye up here, and they sometimes catch them off the bridge when they're running up the river into Lake Winnebago, about 10-12 miles from here in Oshkosh. Oh, this left-handed is looking pretty good. So we're about to cross the river here, up across the bridge. Just looking to the south, the Wolf River runs out into Lake Peterport down there. Yeah, I got to shift gears again. This little bump here. So that's to the south, towards Oshkosh and Lake Peterport. To the north, towards Wapaka, Lake Winneconne, Lake Poygan. Goes around to the west there. Beautiful little town here. On the river and the lakes, between the lakes and the river. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to stop for a little bit, take a picture of the bike. It's not loaded up or anything. I've just got one pannier on the back with a raincoat in it and my clip-in shoes. Going away from the clipless pedals, right now I've got two-sided where I can go clipless or with clips or not, or clipless, and they work great. I do want to get a little bit wider pedal if I'm not going to take the clips, and I'm really leaning towards not doing that now. But yeah, this is the bike. I'm going to give you a quick look around at it here. It's got tubeless front rack, titanium. I'll flip it around the other way here in a bit, show you the gearbox, but you can see down here where the pinion gearbox works, cranks go through it. It's a P18 box. It's the most gears you can get in a pinion, and you kind of see the belt drive in the back there. Rear look. But anyway, here we are in Winneconne. Wolf River dumping into, or actually the Wolf River runs out of Lake Winneconne going south. And then further out, I'm trying to scroll up there a little bit. I guess I can't do that with this. It dumps into Lake Poygan further to the west there. There's a large lake that goes about, I don't know, 7-8 miles to the west. A lot of fishermen out here today on the pier. They used to fish off the bridge until they built this new bridge, and when they built the bridge, they because fishing was so popular here, they put the pier in on both sides, and it's much nicer now, safer for people. So you see all the poles that are up with holders. So it just occurred to me that none of you have seen my ugly mug yet. I think every picture that I've been in since I started filming, I had a helmet and sunglasses on, and I don't even think I showed you much of that. So this is me, Terry. I've stopped here after leaving Winneconne at the on the Wheelwash Trail now, which goes into Oshkosh from here. So I'll ride this the rest of the way, and I think I'm going to go down to the bike shop because one of the things that I've discovered, I've been trying to work out anyway, as far as the gear I'm going to use, is I've been using clip-in pedals on my bikes for, I guess, about 10 or 12 years now, and I do like them. I don't have a problem with them, but I'm finding that as I get older, I'm a little less, shall we say, agile, nimble on the bike, and sometimes getting clipped in and clipped out, I kind of wait a little too long, or I misjudge maybe the terrain or something, and I need to, you know, get out of the pedals and get a foot on the ground pretty quickly. And so I've been thinking about going to just regular pedals without any clips on them at all. And there's a couple of advantages to that. I think my feet do tend to get a little bit hot, especially in the summertime. I mean, not really bad in the clipped ones, but anyway, I'll show you the shoes that I bought while I was down in Florida, which I really like. They're Keen's, I guess, sandals. They got a, I don't know if you can see it there, a clip or a strap across the back, which keeps them from slipping. I tried a pair without that, and they just didn't work for me. But the thing I like about these shoes is they will solve probably several problems for me, or several things that I'm trying to do. I'm really trying to minimize the amount of gear I take on this trip. On my past longer trips, I've taken too much stuff, and I really don't want to be carting stuff up and down mountains out west that I really don't need. And so I'm trying to really slim down the amount of stuff I take. I typically have my clip-in shoes, cycling shoes, and I have a pair of sandals that I carry with me. I do want to do some hiking while I'm on this trip, and so that would have been a pair of tennis shoes or something to hike in. Or getting some cycling shoes that could do both, which my feet aren't the greatest anymore. I've had some arch problems. They've kind of been cured by orthotics and different shoes. I mean, I'm not going to go hiking 20 miles someplace, but I would like to do some walking around in some of these places I'm going to be. And so these shoes, they're very comfortable. I walked around in them down in Florida for days, and just my feet were great in them. Very comfortable. And what I found since I've been back is I've been riding with them out in the cooler weather, and I rode them the other day. It was down about 40 degrees, and I probably should have had a little bit heavier socks on, which I did do today, because it was only about 45 when I left this morning. And my feet have stayed pretty warm in them. Once you're pedaling, they're pretty good. Now walking around, they feel a little chilly right now, and I think it's about 50 degrees out right now. So you know, I may have to take some heavier socks with me. So they solve that problem of having a shoe to walk around in. I really love them on the pedals. I am going to have to change the pedals, though. I want a little bit wider platform on the pedals. These are good pedals. They're actually, take a look here, they're actually clip in on one side and platform on the other. And these little studs really hold your foot well. I need to be away from the, if you look at the cranks here, I think these cranks might be a little bit thicker than the ones I had on my Marrakesh, but my heel kind of clips on that. I need to be able to move my foot out a little wider, and if I do, I'm kind of off the pedal there. So I want to see about getting a little bit wider platform on the pedal. I do have to make sure that if you look here where the panniers sit, and these aren't the panniers I'm going to have on the bike. I'm actually going to have larger ones on for the trip. These are the ones that are going to be on the front. I just got one of them on today. And I've got this one set back pretty far. The larger ones I can actually set back behind, you can see this bar here, so I can get them back pretty far, and they ride really well back there. I had this thing loaded up to the max last fall after I made some adjustments on the racks. And so I think I'm going to have to check and make sure that these shoes are going to work okay. I think they'll be all right, but I'm going to have to get the bigger panniers on and kind of mess around with that a little bit. But yeah, anyway, so they take care of that problem. They give me a shoe to walk around in, a shoe to bike in, that's comfortable, keep my foot from getting hot, that take the socks off, convert to a sandal. Yeah, I look silly wearing socks in them, don't care. You'll see me do a lot of silly stuff, and having socks under my sandals probably ain't the silliest. So the other thing I like is, if you take a look at them here, they've got a nice cover over the toes. They're Keen's, by the way, Keen's waterproof shoes, which brings me to the third thing I wanted them for, was something I could walk around in the water in. I like to walk around in streams and rivers when it's available and cool off in them when I'm traveling, or if you're out in a lake that you don't know what the bottom's going to be like. I can walk around in these and they'll take the water. They are not water resistant, they're waterproof, and yes, they are leather. But the lady that sold them to me, and she did sell them to me, so maybe she's not being totally truthful. She said she wears a pair of them, she hikes in them, she walks around in the ocean in them, she walks around in rivers and streams, and she just does her day-to-day walking around in them because she likes to comfort them. So that kind of sold me on them. So yeah, I got the shoe part figured out. I got to get the pedal part figured out, and then keeping my feet dry with these things on. That's the next thing that I've got to work on. In the past, what I've done, and I've actually brought some today, these have been my waterproof covers. If you can hold it up here for you. I'll flip the camera around. Do this right, Terry. These have been my waterproof covers. I just wrap these around my ankles and put my foot in them, tie them up, and I'll tell you what, they keep your feet dry. And you can, with clip-ins, you can clip in through them. They're beautiful. One little problem with them, and I ran into this on my Lake Michigan trip, and that is if they get loose around your ankles. I had one of the, a part of it got caught in the, not in the chain ring on my Marrakesh, but actually in the crank, and it bound up the pedal, not the crank, in the pedal, and it bound up the pedal and locked it into position so it wouldn't pivot. And I ended up having to stop alongside the road in the rain, and I mean, it was pouring rain on a very busy highway. It had a wide shoulder, but I mean, it was trucks coming by, and I'm getting splashed with water, and wasn't pleasant, and I had to pull the pedal off to get the plastic bag off, and it ruined the bag, so I had one shoe that was wet then. So I'm gonna either do, I think what I'm gonna do is get a pair of probably some waterproof boots that will fit over these shoes and wear those or rain covers or whatever you call them, and do that. And because I'm gonna wear long pants all the time. He goes a little faster than I do, I gotta tell you. And since I've made the decision to wear long sleeve shirts and long or hiking kind of pants. Well, here, I'll show you. Other way. This is what I've got on for trousers. I hope you can see that. They're a pair of hiking pants from REI, and I've got the anklets wrapped up so they can't get into the belt drive. I don't have to worry about the chain, but and I don't think it would get in that belt drive. I'm just going to be cautious because I'm just going to be cautious about it. But anyway, I'm going to wear these like all summer long. I tried them out down in Florida. They work great. About 80, 85 degree weather. I would have liked to have had maybe a little bit warmer and some humidity because it wasn't humid down there, but they were fine just riding in them. They're breathable, they're great. I've ridden them up here down to about 35 degrees and getting right on the edge of where they're starting to get a little bit uncomfortable. If you're moving, they're okay. If you're pedaling, they're okay about that temperature. But I also have a pair of, I don't have them on me right now, I've got a pair of rain pants that I will be taking with me as well. And I can just put those on over these. So that's going to eliminate the need for base layers. And then this merino wool shirt that I've got on, you can see here, I've got two of those. And with the merino wool shirts and this jacket down to about 32, 35 degrees, I actually almost get a little bit kind of warm in it, not too bad. Today I've had the jacket on all day and it's been nearly 50 and it hasn't really bothered me much, but it's damp out too. So this is the shirt, the pants, the shoes. What I'm gonna wear, you're looking at it, is this shirt, these pants, this jacket. Probably mail this jacket back when I get out of the mountains and get into the warm, the really hot weather, because I won't need it anymore. I've got a heavier rain jacket for out west. Anticipating the weather to be a little cooler in the Pacific Northwest and having to deal with a little bit more rain up there early on in the trip. And I'm going to mail those back, and I've got a summer rain jacket that I'm going to have mailed to me. A great thing about these pants is they actually, the legs zip off of them. So if I want shorts, I've got shorts, and I've got two pairs of these. So yeah, that's cutting down on some clothing right there. I'll be able to, it's one of the things that like I said, I wanted to do was cut down on the amount of stuff that I'm taking with me. So anyway.